Chapter 9, Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is by the mercy of all these, I remember the 6 Goswamis, Rupa and Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva, and Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunath. It is by the mercy of all these Vaishnavas and Gurus that I attempt to write about the pastimes and qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether I know it or know not, it is for self-purification that I write this book. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself is the tree of transcendental love for Krishna, its gardener and also the bestower and enjoyer of its fruits. Lord Chaitanya thought, my name is Vishvambara, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of God. Thinking in this way, he accepted the duty of a planter and began to grow a garden in Navadvip. Thus the Lord brought the desired tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will. All glories to Sri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service to Krishna. He is the desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. The seed of devotional service next fructified in the form of Sri Ishvara Puri, and then the gardener himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the tree of devotional service. See, fructified, became apparent. See, it actually manifested. See, so the tree of devotional service is here when the tree of devotional service is here. Okay? When it's manifested, it's manifested. When it's not, it's not. It's that simple. So it fructified in Madhavendra Puri. Okay? And that's when it's the real tree, the actual tree is preached in this world, is when it is manifested and then the order is given. See, the order is to be given also because it's, this devotional service is really unusual, man. That's why so many people, so many persons in religion, Christians have a problem with it. Vaishnavas have a problem in understanding it also. See, so the order has to be given also. Otherwise, the devotees keep it silent and preach something else. Preach morality, moral rules, or Vaidhi Bhakti, Varnashram Dharma, external stuff. Liberation. Oneness with God. See? But this is so rare. See? So it fructified and manifested, and people saw the symptoms, and then Madhavendra Puri taught. Not everybody understood. Some of his disciples didn't understand. Went on their way to teach about Brahman stuff. By his inconceivable powers, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk, and the branches simultaneously. Okay? So self-realization and being a part of the Chaitanya tree is understanding how that works. Okay? How the mood of the gopis, this is what the Lord is giving, this most amazing understanding that the gopis have. That the happiness of Krishna is their happiness. It's inconceivable. We can't understand that without a lot of purification of the heart. Obstructions being removed. And understand what true surrender is. True surrender is just the way it is, man. Yeah. It's the Lord it's our job as servants to assist the Lord in the lordships in their enjoyment, Radha and Krishna. And that's the duty of a servant, the maid servant. Yeah. But to understand that is another thing. Actually realize it. Okay. With the sober and grave Paramananda Puri as the central root, the 8 other roots in the direction of the Chaitanya tree stood firmly. From the trunk grew many branches, and above them innumerable others. Thus the branches of the Chaitanya tree formed a cluster or society. The branches of the Chaitanya formed a cluster or society, with great branches covering all the universe. Society of devotees. So in the society, there's more intimate and less intimate persons that are in there. See, so those who are in the intimate society, see, they understand more and more of these kind of confidential truths. So, like the Vaishnavas are a society, in whole, in total, but who's part of the intimate society? Right? That's where you need to find. From each branch grew many hundreds of sub-branches. No one can count how many branches thus grew. I shall try to name the foremost of the innumerable branches. Please hear the description of the Chaitanya tree. At the top of the tree, the trunk branched into 2. One trunk was named Sri Advaita Prabhu, and the other was Sri Nityananda Prabhu. From these 2 trunks grew many branches and sub-branches that covered the entire world. These branches and sub-branches and there became so numerous that no one can actually write about them. Thus the disciples and the grand disciples and their admirers spread throughout the entire world, and it is not possible to enumerate them all. As a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each of the tree as a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Let's look for the word here on this. Since Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. Since Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. See, so isn't that interesting that the source of that tree, the actual trunk of a particular tree, is what feeds the branches, right? So even in the incarnations, they have their disciplic lines, right? And so the nectar you taste comes from the particular incarnation and what they manifested. See, like there's Lord Ram, he has his disciplic lines. Lord Shiva also, Lord Brahma. Okay. See, but Lord Chaitanya, that fruit is really amazing, and it's very, very rare to find in this world, to find an original branch connected to that Chaitanya tree. That's why I believe they have to be sent. Very rare. nowadays. That's why we see only Vaidhi Bhakti. You have to find those that are actually connected to that tree, okay? The real branch. Otherwise, and the branch is where that fruit is fructified. See? Otherwise, it's not potent. Madhavendra Puri didn't preach and engage people in Krishna service until there was fructification. See, that means the love of God manifested and Krishna appeared and then engaged him to deliver the world. That's why, you have to meet a branch that is actually fructified and connect with that. Cleave onto that. Otherwise, you're not delivered yet. You got to find where that bhakti is manifested and being distributed so you can come onto the branch. Okay, so that's the idea when Jesus said, I'm the true vine, because he was a true vine connected to God in a particular manifestation, which it was not really clear because we just don't know much about it. It doesn't say, he didn't say I'm connected to Vaikuntanath and all this. It wasn't really clear because people weren't ready to understand such things. It was never taught actually who God was in the Vedas, and in the Bible, if you notice. So he couldn't go there. See, at least in our Vedas, they actually describe many things about the Lord's, about the trunk, who Lord Chaitanya is and everything. And so anyway, that's the happiness of devotees to describe these things again. See? So, and it's like I read this beautiful verse just today, in the Bhagavatam. Blessed are those foolish deer, because they have approached the son of Maharaj Nanda. And that's true. Just approaching the Lord in his name and his pastimes, everyone is just blessed. Just by approaching like that. And so the great privilege of devotees is to present Lord Chaitanya before the world so that people can approach him. Otherwise, how are they going to approach? They know nothing about Lord Chaitanya or Radha and Krishna. It has to be presented. And actually the beauty of devotional service is almost like forced to get it. Because, you're chanting out loud and people get it in their ears. They're forced to approach the Lord. Otherwise, how would they do it? They don't know anything about the Lord or have any interest. Okay? So, I think she's here. Noodles was saying, boy, she watched me yesterday doing Sankirtan alone. And it was a tough crowd. At first, people were not interested. Not at all. And she said, how did you do that? You just kept doing it and just going and not daunted by the moods. I said, well, because I know people are adverse to the Lord. And that's a sign of actually, ultimately of attraction, because just by hearing the name, I would give the card, and they didn't want to approach, but they had to because I'm chanting the name. I give them the card. It was like this. You looking, like that. And I just went on chanting, like I've been through this. I know the drill. And then after about 30 minutes, man, things all changed. I'm sitting down. People are coming around, taking the cards. Coming up to me, taking the card. That's how powerful this Sankirtan is. People, they appear not to be interested. They're walking like this, like people were kind of walking back and forth the first couple of days. Now, yesterday, all things changed. The atmosphere had been purified. It's a lot of same people walking up that road. It's a really good spot. You get the same people. Each time they come, they're getting purified. See, because they're I don't like that word forced, but they're they're just presented. I mean, Maya's presenting. She's forcing herself on everybody. You go into a store and they got the TVs blaring with the sound, vibration, talking mundane. It's going in your ears. She's forcing herself on you. So in a bad way. But this here is forcing deliverance. It's like the Lord is coming here through his devotees and grabbing you and pulling you out. That's what chanting does. Okay? That's why I say, we do this regularly now, and that's just like getting a storefront. Here, what is a storefront? People walking by. Oh, well, we got one that's free. You don't have to spend all this big rent. Just go and put a little table up there and also put a bunch of cards on it. Doesn't matter. There's cards there, and people will come up because that's what you do when there's a table out. And they'll start talking to you, and that's what you want is relationship. See, you got the table, they come and stay and start talking a little bit. Get a small table, not that big, anything big. And some information and stuff, whatever we design. So that's the thing is people are forced, I hate that word. You've got to think of another word.
Coerced.
No, this is violent stuff. It's not like that. They're presented because people can't willfully, they don't have the strength to willfully approach Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya, they just don't have the strength or the sukriti. So that's the mercy of the devotees. They come and they present the Lord. Yeah, one we do Harinam from. Yeah, it's just, so anyway, that's how it's.
What is it?
Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. See, so that's how you know where is a Chaitanya tree. Is the taste is like nectar, and if you see a devotee tasting these, and like we're fortunate because we have Prabhupada's books and we have a lot of information about devotional mellows. So maybe you haven't tasted it, but you can get some intellectual idea. The person tasting it, it's worthy to see. It's still hard, But anyway, the devotees who get to taste these fruits, it's wonderful, and then they present to their disciples and well-wishers, and whoever begins to taste these fruits also says, very good, very good. You notice that saying from Dasu, spontaneously, very good fruit. It's transcendental. There's nothing like it. Oh, would you trade this for $1 billion? Oh, no. Everyone that's tasted this, oh, no, I wouldn't. Can you imagine a fruit like that? What can you say about something that you're eating or relishing in this world that you wouldn't trade for $1 billion? That must be a pretty good fruit, huh? So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, and the taste of those fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. See? Branches, sub-branches. See? The fruits ripened and became sweet and nectarian. See, it's like the witnesses, people that get this fruit, they start to bite into it, right? And they say, very good, oh yeah. So where is that fruit? The fruit is always approaching the Lord, always approaching. See, approaching his pastimes. After a while, you want to read, you want to taste this nectar yourself. See, the fruits ripen. See, you notice? See, even Karuna's mentioned, I made some progress now. Now I see the fruits are ripening of this devotional service on this tree. See, they get more and better. This goes infinitely. Our Sankirtan as a result, it's like this one big fruit. It's just like, wow, man, this is getting really good. See, fruit, tasting the fruit of devotional service. So many fruits. See? The fruits ripened, became sweet and nectarine. The gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed them without asking any price. Isn't that nice? Like that. Why? Because just by tasting, you're distributing. And the gardener gets happier, and the taster gets happy. See, the gardener's in our heart. See? And so when we taste the fruits publicly, we become happy, and those who are there in approaching the Lord through the distribution of the fruits, they become more enlivened also, and it matures in them and everything. See, that's the idea of branches and sub-branches, or vine and true vine. You got to find the true vine linked to the Chaitanya tree. Transcendental fruit bowl, yeah. See? And that's how this, see, so now the order to spread it on this level, this is like 500 years ago. We're not just spreading Vaidhi stuff. You can have a Vaidhi tree, but it's not really, the Vaidhi is not what the Lord presented himself to the world for. Madhavinda Puri, there was none of this ecstatic devotion in his disciplic line. He was sent here and brought it. He was already, like the Lord chosen, just brought here, and then he just started manifesting it. You can't even manifest Vaidhi Bhakti very well, like the extent that Prabhupada did, without an extreme amount of mercy. So, and that was the first phase. This is second phase now. So all the wealth in three worlds cannot equal the value of such nectarian fruit of devotional service. So you see, I already asked so many people that get it, tasting this fruit, would you trade it for $1 billion? See? No. See, all the wealth, that's how you know it's real. Yeah. Not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit and who was unfit to receive it, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. Okay, so people are receiving it all according to their ability to receive it, like on Sankirtan, like this. See, so they're receiving the fruit from the devotees, and some are relishing it just by coming out of aversion and saying, wow, this is really nice what you're doing. See, that's relish. And then it just increases. The more they get contact, and they'll get sometimes the desire to associate with devotees at some point. Yeah. Maybe Vaidhi Bhaktas, they won't be able to distinguish, and then later on they'll understand the Raganuga variety. Who knows? Yeah. You see how we're proceeding right in line with what was taught. Yeah, I'm just speaking about my experience. I said, yeah, I can. So you got to come and talk about relationship, right? Can you relate? Can you relate to this? That's why people don't read this. They can't relate to this. What is this? Not happening in their lives. It's happening in our lives. Isn't that amazing? I'm just talking about what's happening in my life right around me here. Okay? If somebody's on the real path and doing well, they stay amongst devotees and just let the fruit brighten. Yeah. If they have in some obstacle and everything, they stay back. They don't approach where this fruit is being distributed. Therefore, it doesn't develop. They scatter. They get another opinion. They begrudge guru or something like that. And then this stops. Then they can't relate to this. I've seen it. And then I see people, that have left. They're out there meditating on Bhagavad Gita verses again. The preliminaries. See, that's the punishment. It's like you said, oh, okay, you didn't understand this. Go sit in the corner with a dunce cap on your head. You're not learning very good. You didn't figure that out. See, you don't know it's the association of devotees, man. Hearing, chanting, and then the empowerment. See, it's the Lord. those who had the right opinion, they're fed with this bhakti continually. See, this is what keeps us out of the Maya. If it ever dried up, if that source ever was cut, we would dry up. And all of a sudden the Maya takes over, and then now you're in some level of Maya. Brahman level, could be motor goodness level, passionate level, whatever, if that flow is stopped. See, that's why the devotees, they continually hear, chant, and remember about the Lord, so that flow will stay initiated. Okay? And the Lord helps them because of this worshiping ecstatic love. They get the right understanding how to go back to Godhead. That's why I say, I do this regularly, and more than regularly. And so this information is coming to how to find our way back home. And I just doing what Jesus did. And actually, if any intelligent Christian understands that, a lot of them don't. But Jesus knew this. I'm just preaching what Jesus preached. He said, I presented to my disciples what you gave me, what you showed me, and they believed it. So that let them be where I am. I'm just presenting to you out there what the Lord shows me from this ecstatic worship. See? And you're being as this person here. It's simple. Okay? That's how it works. The Lord did the same thing, didn't he? He was presenting to the world what he was realizing in his relationship with God. Okay? And people said, very good, very wonderful, this is amazing, And then they became so empowered, and the fruit was so juicy and everything, you want to distribute it to others, right? Look at that. Look at the enthusiasm to go on Sankirtan now here. Man, we all can't wait. We want to share this. Because the more you bite into it on Sankirtan, that's why I say keep the idea on bhajan. You're doing bhajan, the taste, then automatically people say, wow, these people are happier. We're going in the gold shop and just looking at that gold, because by default there ain't anything better being presented. See, our shop is right there on the street, man. They got their shops. They're paying so much money to have a shop. And we just go out there right on the street here. Nottingham's great, no laws against it or anything. Just go there with a mic, with a sound system and everything. We're set up our shop, man. Presenting our wares, and everybody is gradually, they thought, well, I don't know, they passed by, and then the next day they passed by, a little more interest, a little more, after they're going to be beating down the door to get in here. The Sankirtan, I'm telling you, man. Why not, man? Hey, when you find a good shop with a free supplier, oh my God, with things more valuable. See, we just read this. Devotees know this. People in general don't know this. Just one nectarine fruit is worth more than all the wealth in the whole world, whole universe. They don't know that. So you got to just go and you got to be like a miser. Like that St. Francis movie. He goes, his father, St. Francis' father has all the wealth in the closet, man. It's like Prabhupada. He had all the wealth in his closet. And he'd go and chant in ecstasy in his purports and all that. He has all the wealth there. So anyway, the father invites the son and says, I want to show you all this wealth I got. But he never presented the wealth, because when you present it in the world, everybody's like a thief. They just want to steal it, or rip you off or cheat you somehow, right? You don't want to present your wealth like the Jewish people. A lot of times they want to show their wealth because they'll all want it, man. But this wealth, it increases. you can't get ripped off. It's like the more you present it, the more it increases. Okay? The more you share your realizations about it and everything, puts a big smile on your face and others too. And it increases for them, increases for you. Okay? So this is the thing. You don't have to be worried about losing your wealth here, because this wealth is worth more than all that gold that comes and goes. This stays with you eternally, and it's even more enjoyable once you get the hang of it, man. Hey, thanks for coming there, Satchidananda and Lalita Madhava. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. So that's the whole thing, is just presenting this wealth, and you cannot, without tasting and practicing this spontaneous Raganuga Bhakti path, you cannot preach it. You'll have to preach Vaidhi, just because, that's what's been passed on. But we're doing Raganuga, just like Meenasi says, no one's preaching like this. Yeah, because this is a rare thing. Right now, no one's preaching like this, but so many will, because it's the greatest thing in the world, man. Hey, man, we got a monopoly on the greatest happiness in this universe, actually. It's a monopoly. And who has that monopoly is really Lord Chaitanya, and he's in our hearts. If you're a real branch, that means the Lord is preaching this, and the order is here. See, I got the order from Prabhupada and Krishna to preach this. So it's just getting stronger and getting more relishable, man. Look, our numbers are increasing. And they will. Why wouldn't people find something that makes you really happy and that nobody can rip off? They can't. Yeah. Yeah, Satchidananda, welcome. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. The transcendental gardener, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributed handful after handful of fruit in all directions. And when the poor hungry people ate the fruit, the gardener smiled with great pleasure. Lord Chaitanya thus addressed the multifarious varieties of branches and sub-branches of the tree of devotional service. Since the tree of devotional service is transcendental, every one of its parts can perform the actions of others. See? Although the tree is supposed to be immovable, this tree nevertheless moves. See? Since the tree of devotional service is transcendental, every one of its parts can perform the action of others. See? So even like Lord Chaitanya distributed this fruit of love of God. Well, even the branch can distribute this fruit of love of God, especially when the Lord disappeared, because people are saying, well, let's just chant Nittai Nittai and Chaitanya Chaitanya and get this fruit. But the only missing piece is you got to connect with the branch. See? And then chant Nittai Nittai and Chaitanya. See, that's why it hasn't spread, is you got to find an authorized branch. See, because they have the what? The right understanding. The others have the wrong. The others that don't have the right understanding will preach something else. They'll mix in speculation with Lord Chaitanya and the teachings and all that stuff, and then it misdirects people off the essence. It misdirects them off from the right understanding. That's why it's only those who worship the Lord with ecstatic love who have the right understanding. Okay? And it has to be the Lord. I mean, this Lord. You can't. The understanding Lord Chaitanya gave is because of himself. So you have, if you worship Krishna and Radha and Lord Chaitanya with ecstatic devotion, you're going to get that understanding, how to go back to that place. You notice Christians, there's a lot of ecstatic ones now, but they don't know how to get back to this place. They don't know anything. Matter of fact, they have to be schooled by Shiksha Guru, and they don't accept it. No, I only go to Jesus. I'm only Jesus, the only way, and blah blah blah. They're being schooled by the Bible, that little New Testament. They say, well, this is my schooling here. Everything within that, and that's fine, okay. But you can only go to that place Because you would be offensive if you go to Vrindavan and you see Krishna doing what he does. You'd say, oh, that ain't religious, man, because I followed Jesus for the rules and I want to see him being a perfect king that follows the rules perfectly. Because I'm going to be judged by what I do, my deeds, he's going to also be judged. I mean, that's what people do. See, you got to be instructed by Shiksha. That's what's taught by Lord Chaitanya. He said to Vallabhabhata, who wanted to go directly to God, he said, no, I learned from the Vaishnavas that we're empowered to teach different things. See? So at that time, Ramananda Roy was empowered to teach the mellows of devotional service, the knowledge of it, and Swarab Damodar, the actual experience of the relishing the mellows, and then different things about this philosophical theses so people can be solid in their Siddhanta, a lot of different things. But the Lord, because of lack of those kinds of devotees, can take one devotee and preach it all through them. You need a little Maya Tattva? Oh, we'll teach that. Or it doesn't use that, different devotee. Take one devotee, because nowadays it's pretty rare to find devotees to teach you Rasa Tattva, Maya Tattva, Guru Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, all these Tattvas. Okay? So the Lord can perform any branch or sub-branch can perform whatever action the Lord wants to do, because the Lord doing it within them, right? So that's why we do different things here. Rasa Tattva, Maya Tattva, Guru Tattva, Krishna Tattva. So I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick and distribute? It would certainly be a very laborious task to pick the fruits and distribute them alone, and still I suspect some would receive them and others would not. Therefore I order every man within the universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. So there's different levels of it, because the Lord he taught Vaidhi Bhakti, didn't he? He taught rules and regulations, so some people are attracted. So they're distributing it everywhere, right? Well, we need some Raganuga distributors here, right? So that's our job. See? So, because at some point, so many Vaidhi Bhaktas are going to be interested in Raganuga. Well, where is that shop? There's a lot of shops out there for Vaidhi Bhakti, a lot of temples. You go in there, we're distributing the wares of Vaidhi Bhakti. Yeah, just come and follow the rules and regulations, and don't do this, don't do that, don't. And people say, oh, great, yeah. Okay. But where's the Raganuga shops? Okay. Well, here we are. Here we are, we're teaching this. This is the way the Lord wanted. His desire was to distribute it this way. And the only thing is lack of qualification if it's not going to be done. Anyway, he could do it then because he came, so many of his devotees came, he could preach this stuff, see, and teach this stuff because there's a lot of spiritual power there. So here, now, 500 years later, the Lord said, well, we got to start from the foundation and Vaidhi Bhakti and all of that. So that's been laid down. People still, just like the Christians, realize we can't get delivered just by Vaidhi Bhakti. Just by doing rules and fasts and all that. That ain't strong enough. See? So that's when Jesus came. See? So, and that's when Lord Chaitanya came. It was the same idea back then. People were doing Vaidhi Bhakti and they weren't getting delivered. They're still hard-hearted. They wanted to beat. They didn't know the qualities of an ecstatic devotee. They wanted to beat Lord Chaitanya. The servants of Jagannath thought, well, let's beat this guy in ecstasy. He's creating a disturbance. Devananda Pandit threw out an ecstatic devotee out of his class. Even a person teaching about Krishna. So is it surprising they want to throw Gaurahari Das out of the Facebook here? For spoiling Prabhupada's movement? They think I'm here to spoil. I got the order Prabhupada to preach this stuff. I had to order Krishna. He showed, whoa, yeah, anybody who follows you, they're going to get my darshan. Already happening again. One lady did. Look at Dasu. Look at others, So, in other words, the empowerment is here. You got to go to the distributor, man. So if a distributor is a Vaidhi Bhakta, you get Vaidhi Bhakta. If we're distributing now, and we are, spontaneous devotional service and like that, you come here, you just get increasingly enlivened. Because that's happening for us. It's not a lie, it's not baloney, it's not sahaja, it's just the real thing. So I am the only gardener. Okay. I am the only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits can I eat alone? See, so he's the only gardener. See how this is very esoteric. I'm the only gardener. So how can I, if I do not distribute these fruits, what will I do with them? It's like, and he's the only gardener. So therefore, he needs branches. See? Branches. So one branch creates another branch, creates a sub-branch, another branch, another branch. So, and who is the gardener? Inside is God, the Lord. See, he's the pruner, the gardener, he's doing the tending the garden and all that. And what are we? We're the servants of the gardener. See, all we're doing is just, what are we doing? We're distributing the gardener, talking about the gardener, huh? Talking about the philosophy of the gardener, the truth about the gardener, how the gardener works, why we should surrender to the gardener, Lord Chaitanya. See? So that's our job. See? And if you're happy with that, you can become a branch. But if you want to become the gardener, that's false ego. You want to become the gardener. See, that's the false identification. That's why people that on the oneness path can't understand what I'm talking about here unless they hear it and listen. So, start to say, oh, that's how. Yeah, see, the Lord works in relationship, and if you just want oneness, well, then that's that merging, that oneness. But this is about simultaneous oneness and difference. That's what the Lord Chaitanya came to preach. The difference is my position eternally is servant, not God, not to become God, not to become one with God. That way. It's already there. Oneness is there. But Lord Chaitanya came to teach the complete understanding, the full revelation of truth. Okay? Which is simultaneous oneness and difference. Relationship. Okay? So a devotee is always distributing the gardener. Okay? And that's what puts a smile on their face and those who come and believe in their preaching. Wow, this is so great. See? So the devotee eats first from the gardener. It's his food and it's it's everything. It's everything. Because what? Krishna is everything anyway, right? That's the truth. So his knowledge is him. The word is him. That's why Lord Chaitanya said, Srimad Bhagavatam, and this knowledge here is the book incarnation of God. It's God. It's his transcendental form. If it's presented by a true branch who understands the Lord because of their ecstatic worship, then you're gonna, it's gonna pass on this juicy fruit, man. It's gonna be full of juice, full of life. See, without the speculation, with the full realization, not partial realizations that Buddhists have partial. I mean, that's why, a devotee, and I could prove it too. I'll take a Buddhist saying and everything and correct it and make it more juicy. I'm already doing that. I have a web page you can go and look, or I did a few of them already. Right there on Facebook. The Vedas view on Vedas on Buddhism. And taking the sayings of Buddha, make them more juicy, more tasty. To who? To the Lord in your heart. See? The Lord inside our own hearts, the more conclusive you are, the more happy he gets. Or if you get a little contaminated, maybe you get adverse at first, but the more purified you're going to get. Because the Lord lives on conclusiveness. He grows. Krishna says, my devotees like that are the root from which I grow in your heart. Yeah. You're all servants. We're all servants. You're all servants of Krishna. Servants of God. Whatever incarnation you're led to be, if you're led to a Lord Ram in that line, you're servants of Ram, you're servants of Shiva, servants of actually you're even, if you go to Buddha, you're a servant of Buddha, but he didn't teach very clearly. Or it's 2,000 years later and the disciples, you know how it is with disciples after a long time. That's not very clear statements, partial statements. But our disciplic line is very fresh, coming from Prabhupada's writings. And if you find a devotee Bhagavat that's actually sent here and realized this stuff, man, you've got deliverance right in your grasp. You've got the deepest revelations you're going to get, deepest understanding. You'll be able to help Christians, Buddhists, impersonalists, everybody who is willing to learn. By the transcendental desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled over the tree. And thus, there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. By the transcendental desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled over the tree. And thus, there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. You see, by the desire of the Lord. So the Lord came as Lord Chaitanya. He was God himself, the gardener. And he relished, and what happened in his own relish of this relationship with Krishna, the water was sprinkled over the tree, and then got distributed. See, he had to come in the position of a devotee to distribute this, because the devotee is relishing their relationship with God, and God is sprinkling that mercy through the devotee, right? Isn't that samsara prayer? See, the devotee is in the ocean. Let's see if I'll find that prayer real fast here. Okay, here we go. So the lotus feet of the spiritual master is receiving the benediction from the ocean of mercy. See, the ocean of mercy, that's the Lord. See, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the material afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. See, that the spiritual master is reaching into that ocean. See, remember, Krishna, just by his very nature, creates benediction. He can't help it. He's just a benediction, being. If you have closeness with Krishna, with God, is automatically that benediction is radiated through you. See? So the spiritual master is one that has a genuine close relationship with Krishna. So close that they're receiving the benediction from that ocean of mercy, and it's like a rain cloud going out and putting out the fire of material existence in others. See, they get the proper understanding, the right understanding, the right knowledge, the right ecstasy, right bhakti. Real stuff, man. He delivers the materially afflicted world. People are afflicted with afflictions because of the threefold miseries. See, we're so fortunate. We have Bhagavad Gita. We have proper knowledge. Bhagavad Gita says people are suffering because of the threefold afflictions, threefold miseries. See? This is what Maya does. See? Miseries of the body and mind and emotions. See? The body and mind. You can feel this way, that way. Miseries of the emotions and the mind. Oh, the mind is giving me so much trouble. Oh, my emotion, I gotta go see a psychiatrist, man. See, the afflictions by Maya. The demigods, oh, my house burned down, oh, what am I going to do, oh, what am I going to do, oh, my, somebody dies, in your family, You want relief from the threefold miseries? Where is it? Can the Buddha give it to you? No, it's very hard, you can get some relief, but doesn't work very well. Can the New Age give it to you? Well, we have examples on Facebook, thank you very much. The guy's, really? I thought I could. The words sounded so good, but God, I'm afflicted by I'm miserable. I think I might want to commit suicide. Well, didn't work, I guess. Okay. So the real spiritual master. Oh, and then the Vaidhi Bhaktas. You got the Vaidhi Bhaktas who have a spiritual master who's not really close yet with Krishna and cannot be what you got to be. This statement, man, you got to be it. It has to be you, close to the ocean of mercy and that stuff like a cloud coming through you onto the material afflicted world and putting that fire out. You got to be it. Otherwise, you're a false Vasudeva. In the form of a false acharya. And they can't get rid of, I know plenty, I sat with a guy for only, just on a ride from Mayapur to the airport, and the guy was 3 months there under a guru there, and he was miserable. And just a few minutes, just after a few minutes of talking to the guy and chanting with him, he said, I got relief. I feel so good. Thank you so much. What did you do? Well, I don't know. Just have the right understanding, I guess. The right ecstasy. Same thing. This poor lady, I was in Mayapur, stayed with her for a month. Nice, very serious devotee, following her guru like to the T and everything. What's happened? Attacked by ghosts now. In Mayapur, in the crazy house. Okay? Can't get relief from the threefold miseries. But I tell you, anybody who puts heart and soul here in what we're doing, you ain't need to go to any psychiatrist. I mean, if you're really with us, man, and you're really on board, man, and you're like these persons coming here now, like Dasut and Johan and stuff like that, your happiness will be here, and Maya will say, man, I ain't touching this person. I'm not going to give them any, man. They're just going to be, you're going to see, people will see and be inspired by you, and they're going to say, my God, it's so inspiring to watch Johan, like they're saying. So inspired to see River Yamuna. She's doing really good. She likes to read the past. That's very inspiring to see somebody who likes eating prasad. This is prasad, man. There are so many people in Vaidhi Bhakti. Well, I like prasad, man, but they can't eat this prasad. They can eat the basic stuff, but they can't taste this, because you got to go to a real devotee. really close to that ocean of mercy and radiating that benediction down in the force of tasting this bhakti. Okay? So that's when you start to get relief from Maya. Maya says, boy, because why would Maya, think about it, why would Maya touch anybody in this world that's a real devotee, that's really taking shelter of a real devotee? She would have to be out of her mind. Literally, Yamaraj says, don't go near any devotee. I'm very afraid. Yamaraj is afraid to commit offense. Why would you? Why would anybody? If a person is a real authentic devotee getting the mercy, the benediction from the ocean of mercy, you think Maya would want to try to commit an offense? She stays away. And you know it. When people are saying here now, my God, man, it's so auspicious here. What does that mean? Maya's staying away. Even if you do a little thing here and there, and she said, well, I don't know, man. I don't think I want to mess with these people. I don't have any authority over them. You take shelter of a real devotee in disciplic line, man. Your life becomes like that. And then you teach the real path, and anybody who believes your example, they get out also. Out of this Maya. Otherwise, nobody gets out. The New Age can't do it. The Buddha can't do it. All part of you. You can say up to down, oh yeah, all paths lead to God. All right, you follow them and you'll see how many lifetimes you're going to be following something and it goes to something else and something else. And how many times you're disappointed. There ain't no disappointment here. The only disappointment we get if you don't take the bam bam or you don't like Guru, you commit offenses to Guru here. I mean, you're really bad. That's the only time. And then that's just the teaching. Because if you got any taste here, you'll come back at some point, at least. You want relief from Maya? You find the real path. Because she knows all of this stuff. And only the devotee knows it also. Because the Lord tells them. The real scoop, the real scoop. This is the breaking news of Vrindavan every day. Every day, man. That's why I come here. People like to read. I have to read that newspaper, man. Same thing. I come here. I want to read the news of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna says, well, this is the news for the day. All right, man. Let's dip into that ocean of benediction, man, and find out the news that we need to know. See? This news is much better than the old. That stuff is just so limited, man. Same old stuff. This terrorist did this guy did this. And all you do is get depressed reading it. Here, this news is exciting, man. It's enriching. It's enlivening. It's ecstatic. That's the spiritual potency, man. It's here, and we dip into it at least 3 or 4 times a day. And now even my students are dipping into it when there's ever a break. River says, in will be there soon. What does that mean? Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement. Yeah, that's man. This is devotional service, man. It's like that. Krishna likes to do these things, therefore the devotees do too. He does it through them. That's how they dip into the ocean of benediction. They go and just enjoy serving the Lord. Like Yamuna said yesterday, boy, I like this job, man. Somebody said to her yesterday, you guys should get a job. She said, I got a job, man. I like my job. You're like, no, I don't like mine. Of course not. Maya is out there making you work your ass off. you know, and you're not, you would probably like it if you're working, because everybody needs to work, and it depends on what you're doing, you know, and working is fine, especially when you're hooked into a sangha like this and using the fruits for devotional service, at least some of them, then you feel happy. Yeah, so like Sachi, she said, oh, when I give to you, I feel happy. Why is that? Because Krishna's happy, man. Now you're in line. You got to become in line. When you're doing what it says in the book Bhagavat, and the devotee reminds you, that's all. It says, you know, Narada Muni says, what good is fruit of activity unless it's used for the devotional service of the Lord? Otherwise you just become miserly and miserable. You know, misers are miserable, right? Miser, miserable. Isn't that funny? The same kind of ring to it. Miser, misery. See? But when fruitive work is engaged in devotional service, now you're in line with the book. And the devotee just reminds you, and that's why Sachi says, yeah, I feel good when I give this. And when she stops doing it, she feels, oh, I don't feel so good. Why? Because you're out of line. When you're in line, in the line of the flow, see, the river that flows back to Godhead, everything's cool, man. See? You feel happy in your heart and everything. See, it's all conclusive. I'm going to make everybody so turned on to be conclusive and in line. Because when you're there, man, it's perfect, man. It's right on, man. You feel like, man, I feel properly situated. I feel fulfilled. And the fruits start going. You start manifesting, you know. See, spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika Madhava. See? Or Lord Chaitanya. So now, you know, we have Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. When Narottam wrote this, you know, I don't know if the Chaitanya Charitamrita was out. He was still writing this thing. Narottam was, yeah, he was around the Narottam. Yeah, all of them were around. I don't know exactly chronologically, but it wasn't really out. But anyway, for us, more valuable is is Chaitanya Lila. Especially start, get the Ras, man, and then later we can go into that. So, otherwise, it's I even feel it's like, Prabhupada gave me the order mainly Chaitanya Lila, you know, and it's great because it really gets things going. And when the time is ripe, we go into, sometimes I read early in the morning sometimes. So, Reverend Moon says, I will going back to Godhead very soon, or I am with Godhead already. Yeah, you're with God. See, we're all with Godhead here. It's just realizing it. When you have this book here, Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavatam, and you're reading it, you're with God. You'll realize that more. See, as the anarthas and the unwanted things are purified in the heart by simply tasting the nectar of devotional service, going on Sankirtan, you just realize it more and more. You're with God. It's not going back to anything. You could say going back is just, we just got to keep going back to meditating on Krishna through the holy name. Yeah, I'm going back to Godhead right now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Blessed are those foolish deer and foolish Gaurahari Das, because he's approaching the son of Manda Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. See, I'm going back to Godhead. You should always be going back to Godhead all day long. That's the spirit. Sachina says, I'm here for the bliss. Yeah, me too.
For the juicy fruits.
Like the bee looking for nectar, exactly. Oh, let's see here. So by the transcendental desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled all over the tree, and thus there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. So by the transcendental desire of the tree, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled all over the tree, and thus there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. So that water is conclusive truth, that water is also the ecstasy of doing devotional service, the bliss of that. See, the water, and that water is sprinkled by engagement in devotional service in association with Raganuga Bhaktas, with spontaneous devotees. That's what's going on here. This is very rare association, my friends. Very rare. This is the root from which Krishna will grow. Otherwise, you'll just get some Vaidhi thing growth going. That's why you see devotees are more or less in the same place they were 40 years ago until they take Shiksha. You got to have Shiksha. A Christian will only worship as they are. They'll have some ecstasy and everything, but they won't, until they take Shiksha, they won't understand what we're doing. It's all about association. You know, if you're a Vaidhi Bhakta, and that means you're usually a neophyte, that means you need the association of spontaneous devotees if you want to progress to what Lord Chaitanya came to give. So everything that makes you aware of awareness, dear River Yamuna Mataji Ki Jai, is the juice, the bliss. Ah, good question. Is the juice the bliss? Well, what you'll find, you know, like there's a bliss in the impersonal level. There's a bliss there, and then there's a special bliss in tasting this nectar of the conclusive truth. See, there's juice in that. See? And I remember I used to go to, when I left this path and I went to impersonal teachings and the teacher was talking about you're not your body and all, there was a bliss in that. See? But because you can speculate about the truth, because unless you've realized the Bhagavan feature, the ultimate feature is realized by the, here, let's get the book out again here. See here. Oops, what did I do wrong? Okay. Here we go. Spiritual master is very dear. No, not that one. Where is it? The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika Madhava. But not only that, anything to do with the personality of Godhead. Okay? Because when you're relishing, when you can taste that relationship, see, then your realizations are very deep and extensive. See, and there's a bliss that comes from that. See, from conclusive truth. See? So whoever accepts it, even if a person that, whoever accepts this truth will start to taste this bliss also. So realize Bhagavan. Well, actually, you mean realize Bhagavan. Bhagavan realization you can only realize by tasting Bhagavan. You got to taste the Lord. You got to see Bhagavan in his deepest manifestation, his conclusive truth. That's why the Goswamis wrote. That's why Prabhupada wrote these things. See, when you can taste that nectar, see, then you realize the full feature of the Lord. That's Bhagavan realization. And it's just becoming ecstatic, tasting the nectar of Krishna's pastimes. See, his pastimes, his philosophy, everything. Tasting Bhagavad Gita verses even. So that's you realize the Bhagavan feature as the strongest of all revelations and realizations. Matter of fact, and then if you can taste the conjugal pastimes, then you realize the highest limit of revelation of God, because that's what makes him the happiness in your own heart. It's all about pleasing the Lord. Hey, realizing Brahman, Brahman bliss, Brahman level of bliss and all that, there's a sort of happiness in the heart from that. There's a happiness in that. And as long as one is satisfied with that, that's great. Okay? But that doesn't satisfy a devotee who has tasted the personal feature of the Lord. That's why, that's why I preach like I do. And that's the real revelation and realization we're delivering here. Can we use the word absolute instead of conclusive to mean the same thing? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, you can. Why not? So it means self-realization. Well, self-realization, see, okay, again, that's why, I personally accept the personal form, because self-realization to the impersonal person, as realizing impersonal Brahman, means everything. It means, just realizing the self, realizing that. But the personalist understands the complete truth of self-realization. First stage of self-realization is Brahman. Second stage is supersoul realization, where the Lord reveals more of a juicy experience of himself, and that he's in your own heart. It's not just a Brahman level of realization. See? And then there's the Bhagavan feature that cannot be understood by even a super soul realized person, where you just feel God in your heart. When you start tasting the nectar of the Lord's pastimes, the love increases, this bhav state, kind of bhav in the heart, increases and condenses into transcendental mellows, which causes amazing transformations in the body. You don't see that much in Mayavadi. Sometimes you do, but not much. The fullness of self-realization and stages of self-realization. Yeah, the fullness is in the personal feature and the different stages of self-realization, starting with the impersonal realization of oneness with God. Okay? Is there, and then there's the deeper stage is super soul, and then the ultimate stage is Bhagavan. If a person tastes the pastimes of the Lord, if you start to getting some taste and all that, now you're very going to quickly realize that personal feature. Otherwise, to go from the impersonal, you still have to meet a Vaishnava to be attracted to the next stage, deeper stage. At least that's how I realized it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I need to go to the bathroom, and let's see, I may continue, may not. So let's everybody channel Japa here, and I'll be right back.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaurahari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaurahari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna,
Ah, okay. So anyway, that's a little philosophy, and so that's important. This kind of knowledge, and then then there's the actual. You just go into really chanting the holy name and just crying and laughing and all. That's the most fun, man. I like that the best. But some of this is important too. That was the Lord. He came. He mostly to relish this stuff. Just to laugh and cry and relish mellows and stuff like that, So, but some of this is important. You have to do some of this also. Yeah. So, distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and ultimately become free of old age and death. Yeah, so that's really the old age and death. Poor people in the world, they're going through this again and again and again. It's painful, man. Doesn't matter how good you have it in this world. But just simply by tasting the mantra, tasting Krishna's name, tasting these pastimes, getting excited and enlivened by it, we overcome the illusion, and then we'll, go back. I mean, literally, if you come back here, which personally I think this is, I'm just so tickled, man, to get to this point now of tasting and distributing. It's just like so fun, man. It's like, God, is it fun to serve God? It's like Satchidananda says, it's so much fun and overwhelming. Isn't it amazing? It's so fun to serve the Lord, to go on Sankirtan and chant. Yeah, even with perspective. I don't, people can be what they are. If you like to just come out, hang out with the devotees and chant the holy name, everything is going to progress and develop. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to end now, take a break. So River Yamuna, if you want to go on, and I think Johan's already been on. The guy is greedy, man. He gets up before I do now. And he's an hour behind, isn't it? Hour
ahead.
Oh, an hour ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, smart guy. So if Yamuna wants to, and I'll go out and do my thing at Witherspoon's, and I'll be back in probably less than an hour. So you better start right away if you want a good lick in there, because when I get there, I'm gonna. Hare Krishna. See you soon.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram.
It's almost 7 o'clock already.
Hare Ram. Going through the door.
Going through what door?
Going through the door. You see the picture on the video?
Yeah.
That's the fridge door open.
Oh, going through the food door. Got my lemon juice there.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Ram.
Did a whole hour and a half on there, and only went to 74% without using the. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for coming there on YouTube. So I just did a YouTube thing here also. See, how do I?